I'm really excited to have you guys join me tonight to talk about this important topic. I know um, a lot of you, that is why you're in this community, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I can try to check on my Facebook. So if you have any questions, if you're watching live, if you have any questions, or if you're not watching live, you can make comments in there and I will check in if you have any questions or anything like that. So yeah, I want to go ahead and just get started. If there's any issues, just let me know. But my big promise to you is that I want to help you have a better understanding of how we need to view and use nutrition for fertility. There's a lot of mistakes, a lot of misconceptions, a lot of things out there that we need to clear up. So I want to take just a little bit of a time in this little video, this little training to talk about that with you. And so why is this important, right? Okay, so a lot of you, maybe you guys can relate to this feeling. But do you feel like you don't even know what is important or where to start, right? Are you tired of just like spiraling down the internet rabbit hole, trying to find information, trying to piece things together? Maybe you're talking to your doctors, but you aren't getting any real answers. And you just want the best for your baby, right? You want to have a healthy baby, a healthy pregnancy. You want to get pregnant as quickly and easily as possible, I'm sure. So let me know if you can relate to that. But I want you to know that no matter what, like this is not your fault, okay? So as we talk about nutrition, if you have not been getting the results that you want, if this is all new information to you, it's not your fault that things aren't working. It's really hard to know who is right, what to trust. And if you're anything like I felt in my past, I would do about anything to feel more in control of my fertility and my future. And I know you want that as bad too. You're motivated. So we're going to help clear this up for you. And really what I see is the real problem is vague, generic advice, okay? So in conventional care, you aren't even told to think about your fertility, really have any worries until you've been trying to conceive for a year or 6 months or so, before that you even start like having the thought or talking about what could be going on. And so in our society, the thought of preparing to conceive, preconception nutrition is new and not always commonplace. And that's sad because that's so much wasted time, valuable changes that you could make that can seriously impact your success and the health of your child. And it makes the problem worse for you because then if you think you want to prepare and no one's there helping you, telling you to just wait and see if you have problems, that's a lot of pressure for you to figure things out on your own, right? And so we really want to make sure that we are doing this in a real strategy, right? Like I personally have gone through this. I wanted advice, I wanted answers. So I started searching of how to help my fertility. And I got sucked into reading all sorts of things and spending money on lots of random supplements and doing this over and over again. And I would just get paralyzed with information. Maybe you felt that way, like you've had so much information or you research so much and you like just don't even know where to start, right? And the problem is we aren't actually taking consistent action. And that's really where we don't see results too. And so I went through that for a long time before, I really figured out fertility responsive nutrition. And this is so special because this is when we can have a personal roadmap to know exactly what steps to take to increase your chances of success, to increase your health, increase your fertility. And you can know every day, like what you should be doing how to eat for your unique body, and feel confident that you're using nutrition for your advantage. So that's what we all want, right? Um, so I'll introduce myself before I go any further. So if you don't know me, my name is Crystal Melanson. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist. I'm a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. I'm a certified natural chef. And I'm the owner of my health practice, Zen Functional Wellness, and the founder of the Preconception Plan. And I specialize in supporting women and couples to naturally maximize and amend their fertility to conceive, without generic plans, without impersonal clinic visits, without medications and drugs. And I really got into this whole journey because of my own health struggles. And I was told, like many of you, that it would be difficult or impossible for me to conceive naturally. I had irregular cycles. I wasn't even sure if I was ovulating. And I come from a family of fertility issues. My mother actually had to have IVF to have me and my siblings. And so, I wanted to do whatever I could to change this thought, this prediction I was given. I wanted to do whatever I could naturally. And that's really where fertility responsive nutrition was able to help me. And now I'm actually naturally pregnant with my second baby. So, I have also many other clients that have helped shape their future through nutrition as well too. So I just want to give you, some of this to inspire you and let you know it can happen, right? Like, tomorrow is a client of mine. She was told as well that she would probably have to take medication. She thought it'd be too difficult. And she had a complete turnaround in her PCOS and her body, how she felt, and she enjoyed eating, a fertility diet because it was made for her and it felt good to her body. And she got pregnant naturally after a few months. So it's really awesome. And so I want to talk to you about, once again, here's preconception nutrition. Okay, why is it so important? With nutrition and preconception diets, we're thinking about the present as well as the future. So it takes, really 3 to 4 months to make significant improvements. Why is that? Because your eggs and sperm have to have time to mature and develop. It takes them about 3 to 4 months to mature and develop, which means ready to make a baby. So for women, for example, your cycle now is a shadow of what you were doing 3 months ago. That egg that was released has been influenced for 3 months to get to that point. And so every day counts, every single day counts. Every change you make counts. You can feel better in a week. You can feel a difference in your cycle in just a month, but we have to remember that things like hormones and inflammation in your egg quality, they have a longer life cycle and a longer time that it could take to influence. And this is why waiting to do anything with your nutrition until you're actively trying or until you're pregnant, right, is a lost opportunity because there's so much that we could be doing before then. And so I want to give you an awesome study of this. So this is a study that was put out talking about preconception nutrition. And it lasted over 2 years, over 360 couples. And it showed us that 37% of the couples that had previous diagnosis of infertility, 38% had a history of miscarriage, a few other percentages of not good things. They went into this program where they worked naturally on preconception care, on nutrition, things that what we're talking about tonight, right? At the end of this study, in the entire group, there were no miscarriages. There are no perinatal deaths or malformations on the babies, right? No babies had to go to the ICU. when the normal expectation for a group this size would have been 70 miscarriages and 6 malformations. So that is incredible. 70 miscarriages compared to 0 in this group that just went through this natural preconception program. So out of the total participants, 89% of them had a live birth, and 81% of those were previously diagnosed infertile. So that is awesome to show us how important preconception nutrition, preconception care is, right? And it's not only for a healthy baby, but it's for healthy adults too, because what you do now, like I said, it influences your eggs, the egg quality, which is literally creating your baby, right? And how you go into pregnancy, how healthy you are going into pregnancy as well influences the health of your future child. It reduces their disease risk. It influences the risk for obesity and allergies. It influences their risk for other issues because there's tons of toxins in the world that we've been shown babies are born with. And when we can lower all of this, then it can change their future for healthy adults. So when your child becomes an adult, they're dealing with less, right? Which is awesome. So expenses. I wanted to talk about this too, because it can be expensive to deal with fertility issues. You might already know that personally. On average, they say, in America, someone who's gone to the IVF route can spend on average $50,000 to $60,000 before they get pregnant. My parents personally, like I said, I was born of IVF. My mother was actually one of the first, the group of, one of the first ladies to successfully have children through IVF, but they spent, about $100,000 on having us, when going in debt on that, having me and my brothers. And sadly, since the 80s, things haven't changed a whole lot around here, and it can be expensive. It also is an incredible emotional toll, a huge toll on your emotions, your mental health, your relationship often. So the expense goes beyond money into so many other things. And so, what would we do if we could increase your chances of success? Either completely avoid having to do fertility treatments, or increase your chances. So instead of maybe 5 or 6 average IVUIs or 3 or 4 average IVF cycles, having it work on the first one or the second one if we can, right? So this is why it's so important, and why I want to talk to you about why I'm so passionate about preconception nutrition and using nutrition for your fertility. So we can go into a lot of the information now, but if you have any questions on this, let me know. But this is really why it's so important, and I'm so passionate about this. So first of all, what we need to know is that there's a type of diet that your doctor is not trained in, okay? So, for example, when I first met my client, Amy, she told me she was eating a healthy diet. She couldn't understand why she was struggling, though, with period pain. Her hormones were off balance, but she was sure it had nothing to do with her eating because she was eating healthy, right? That's what her doctors told her. And she did tests after tests at her clinic, and she couldn't figure out any way to help. The doctors just wanted to give her oral contraceptives to cover up her symptoms, which obviously isn't going to work if you want to have a baby, right? And she didn't know what to do. So we started working together and learning about diet and how we can use it in response to her body. And we figured out, the diet that even though her doctor said were great, so many people on Instagram said were great, seriously. And, this is how her best friend was eating. It wasn't working for her at all. And in fact, it was actually hurting her and causing a lot of inflammation. And the fact is that less than 20% of medical schools even require just one nutrition class. Just one class. So doctors and most health professionals, they don't know about or understand nutrition. And this is according to the Harvard School of Public Health. And that's sad, but also, they don't have time to learn. This is a completely different field. They don't have time to focus on this because nutrition's complicated, right? And so it's a very complex one, and without being fully dedicated to it, it's hard to advise on it. So that's how our society is set up, but we can't rely on them for that information. I mean, I've been studying over 15 years on nutrition, and I'm still learning more, right? And so what I saw my client Amy doing is what I see a lot of people doing. She was eating like yogurt and fruit for breakfast, right? She had a salad for lunch. She had a bigger meal like fish and veggies or pasta for dinner. She went to happy hour a couple times a week. Sounds pretty healthy, right? Pretty good. But unfortunately, for Amy, it wasn't, because her breakfast, her yogurt, and her fruit breakfast were starting her day off completely wrong. The salad at lunch wasn't helping her either, and because they were the wrong foods for her body. Her blood sugar was going crazy. It was going all over the place. Her gut was not happy. She wasn't drinking much alcohol in many people's mind, but for her, it was a lot of inflammation and stress on her system because her liver was already struggling. And so when we dig in a bit deeper, and I was talking to Amy, I also learned that she wasn't pooping every day, right? She was constipated. And that's a big deal to your hormones and inflammation on your body. So from the outside, who's not like really digging or, trained out looking at this, you might think Amy is eating a healthy diet, right? But it wasn't working for her. It wasn't right with her body. And that's where we can really run into issues. And when I hear so much of, I think I'm eating healthy, well, let's really talk about that and see what that means for you. And so, we learned about how her body was reacting to food instead of counting calories, finding random meal plans on Pinterest, things like that, what worked for her friend. Like, we really went through a specific method to learn how to balance her blood sugar, reduce inflammation, repair her gut, increase nutrients. And in turn, she was able to step out of that wheel and find that diet that was working for her body to repair her cycles. And so, you can think you're eating healthy, your doctors, your chiropractors, everyone could be impressed. But if you're not eating in a way that's supporting you, you specifically, then it's not a healthy diet. No matter, how many supplements you take or superfoods you put in there, like, it's not right if it's not working for you. And that's why we can't subscribe to just like one diet for everyone. So how many of you have had that thought? How many of you have kind of gone through this before? And so what we need is a specific strategy, right? So nutritional level recommendations from like the government, they're bare minimums. They are not even optimal levels, for optimal health. They're bare minimums. So just reaching those is not even enough. And we have to go in a lot deeper to it. Many doctors, health professionals, they don't understand that blood sugar imbalances are linked to low ovarian function, infertility, PCOS, right? Poor gut function, like constipation, things like that, can cause estrogen dominance and imbalances with progesterone. Leaky gut, GI issues, IBS, ulcerative colitis, those can impact your immune system and your ability to conceive. And autoimmunity, which is tied so closely to your gut nutrition, like Hashimoto's or eczema, psoriasis, celiac, those can all impact your fertility as well. And so we need this specific strategy to walk through. what are the foundations of, a fertility diet? What to eat, what to avoid, how to balance your blood sugar. This is, one of the leading causes of PCOS, but also for adrenal dysfunction, fatigue, mood imbalances, stressed out gut is blood sugar issues. And I see a lot of ladies that are fit and healthy and lean, but have blood sugar issues that we need to help take care of. We have to identify food sensitivities and what is your body telling you? Tune into that. Work on gut health and think about things like your digestion and your metabolism, right? So all these steps are really critical, but often ignored in conventional medicine, but have been shown, through evidence, research, and through people time and time again that they matter. So we'll go into these again in a moment. Okay. So what we have to remember is that, this is not widely discussed, but they do directly impact your fertility. And your fertility can be substantially helped. Issues can sometimes be reversed through the right diet created through you. And we want to do things that are for now, but also learn about a diet that can work through your pregnancy. So when you do get pregnant, you know how to be healthy. And after pregnancy, for postpartum, you know what to do. If you want to have more babies, you know what to do. So it's not this like quick fix thing that we want to just follow for 2 weeks and then be on our way. We want to actually learn tools to help us for the rest of our life, which is really, really valuable and awesome. All right. So the second thing with fertility nutrition is that personalization matters, right? So as you've kind of hear me hound on already a little bit, we're all unique, right? We have unique backgrounds, we have unique bodies. Cookie cutter diets and plans do not work. You have to learn to see what's right for you. And the diet is really foundational. It's the foundation to your fertility plan, because without the foundation, without the diet, the house will fall down, right? We can do all these other things, but we have to have a strong foundation, which is your diet, what you're putting into your body every single day, right? We can't get around eating every single day. That's the foundation to your hormones, to your eggs, to your fertility, your health. So what are some of the phases we go through with fertility nutrition? So first, obviously, we learn the foundations, right? So we take steps to learn the foundations. Then we can learn how your body responds to food. So when we have those basics down, let's personalize it. Let's see, how is your body responding that we need to tweak a little bit further. And then we have to consider, how much healing do you have to do? Have you been really struggling, with inconsistent cycles or been on medications or birth control for years, that maybe we need to, have a healing phase, really think about healing your body, helping to mend your fertility, things like that. Or are you just wanting to prepare and be the healthiest you can be to conceive? You don't think you have any issues with your fertility, but you want to have the healthiest baby you can. So that takes into consideration as well, because then as we move forward, we can either adjust our diet a little bit, we can maintain the diet as we move forward. So when you get pregnant in the first trimester can be hell. Okay. So maybe you've been pregnant, you have children already, maybe you've been there. It can be hell for some people. But when you've been preparing, when you have preconception time under your belt, you don't have to worry so much, because hopefully it'll help with some of the symptoms, but there's less stress, less overwhelm, less worry, because if you aren't eating as well, if you can't keep food down, if you can't keep supplements down, things like that, you've prepared for months so that you can get over that hump, you can survive, and then do better, right? So preconception nutrition is about working into your pregnancy as well too. And this is where we really don't have to rely on like willpower, or being disciplined. If you feel like you've tried diet stuff and fallen off and tried and fallen off and you can't stick to anything, When you learn in this way with the foundations, how your body responds, why you're doing it, then you don't have to rely on just like trudging through, because you really understand what you're doing and it feels good for you. Okay. So some of the components of fertility responsive nutrition. So one, a big important one is removing some inflammatory foods. So some things like gluten, dairy, soy, sugars, those can be very inflammatory on your system, which can react with your immune system, which can cause imbalances in your body wanting to conceive, right? As well as your gut health and your hormone balance. So it's important to know what foods that we might want to avoid, for how long, and why, right? So organic foods, it is important. Like I said, babies are born with so many toxins now. Like, we are just bombarded with them. The least we can do is try to eat as organic as possible. And we can work with your budget on that if we have to, but this helps remove toxins and chemicals from your system that could be damaging to your eggs as you're trying to prepare to conceive. Of course, eating whole foods, so foods that are close to their natural state, so not processed food, right? So eating foods that are not processed so that we can get all the awesome nutrients from them that we can. And eating animal products that are grass-fed, pastured, sustainable. Protein is undereaten by many women. Many women also, when they go into this journey, sometimes they go straight to vegan or vegetarian diets thinking it's better, but they're often full of inflammatory foods that I mentioned, processed foods like processed soy or dairy, and animal products can be very valuable, but we just want to be conscious of the type of animal products we're eating, right? Like, so what's the quality, the health of that? But that can be a very valuable part of a fertility diet as well too. And knowing how to make this all work together. If you are vegetarian and vegan, it's considering how we can make that a healthier diet for you, if that's the best choice, right? And then healthy fats. So fat is such an important part for women, for your hormones. Cholesterol is actually what your hormones are created from. So fat is an important part, and getting healthy fats from, healthy oils and healthy foods is a very important part where we can find how much your body needs, right? So it's important to have that balance. And when we use fertility responsive strategies, we can see, do you need a little bit more fat, a little bit less fat? How is your body metabolizing it? Same with carbohydrates. I work in my programs with specific strategies to find how your body responds to carbs, because I often see women that are eating less carbs than they should, more carbs than they should. Once again, you hear, oh, keto's best for PCOS. You go straight to that, and then it damages your whole system, right? Because it's not right for you. So we can see how your body is responding to carbohydrates, how we can make it all work. Hydration, water, good filtered water. Such an important part to help your cells be nourished. And then limiting alcohol and caffeine, and talking about if you should have any of it in your diet or the best types, how we work those into. Typically, I think if you're trying to conceive, very much limiting or completely removing is a good idea, because I don't believe any alcohol is good when you're pregnant. So we don't want to risk that. And it can be, there have been some studies that shown even one drink a week can affect your fertility. So having the discussion of, once again, where are you in your journey, your process, the rest of your health, and how do these things piece together? It's personalized for you. So that's how we really want to use the fertility responsive nutrition, is all these components together and making sure that it's working for you correctly. So what you want, right? So what you want out of it is concrete guidelines to cut out any confusion. You want concrete guidelines, right? We want to know what to do, what to eat, what to avoid. And then we need to know how to make progress, how to tell if you're making progress, because there's a big difference if you're doing something that you should see results within a week or two versus if we need to keep doing it for 60 days before we assess. So we need to know how to tell if you're making progress and how your body's responding. And that's what we can really have with a clear roadmap. And so some of the biggest mistakes that I see, are things when we don't personalize, right? So eating too many carbs, not enough carbohydrates, too much fat or the wrong kinds of fats, not enough protein, and inflammatory foods. So when I'm working with someone on their diet and we're adjusting things, those are some of the top mistakes that I see that they've been working through. And that's why we can't just blindly follow like generic meal plans forever. Sure, they can be helpful for some time. They're not going to really fully get you anywhere because we have to have those other pieces to see how to make it work for you, right? And so with a holistic approach, what that means is realizing everything's connected together, right? Your gut health is tied to your fertility, digestion, gut infections, hormone clearance, your metabolism, your liver health, your immunity. Those are all food sensitivities. Those can all be stress on your body that are affecting your fertility that can be helped by nutrition. And so we have to realize that it's all tied. Gut health is huge, a huge thing. Personally, for me, when I was able to get a hold on my gut health, so I figured out I had some gut infections and some things I had to really work on and get my carb intake correct and things like that. That's when I started ovulating. I went from not ovulating, 120 days for cycles down to cycles where I got pregnant when I was able to figure out my gut health. So for me personally, that was a huge one. And using holistically is using supplements in the right way with strategic use. So understanding that supplements can be an important part of this, right? But they have to be based off of your personal needs. You need to know, why are you using it? How do you know if it's helping? Like, do you really understand why you're taking the supplement, right? And that supplements are supplemental. They are a piece of the puzzle just over here to the whole foundation, right? You can't expect a supplement to be life-changing if you're constantly stressing your body with poor diet, foods that aren't right for you, poor gut health, or, a constant fight against nutrient depletions. So they can be a huge part of it, but it has to all tie together. And without this full approach, that's when it's like, yeah, you're trying to fix a broken down car by just changing a headlight. We're focusing on one little tiny part when we can really help the entire car. So last little section I want to talk to you about, just really quickly, this brief intro into using labs to help with the personalization. So if you want to learn more about this part, really reach out to me. I have a ton of information I can give you and chat with you about. But it's a big part of it because we have to remember that a lot of ladies come to me and they're like, my tests are normal. My doctor says I'm normal. My doctor says I'm fine. We have to remember that normal does not equate health, okay? It does not mean that you have optimal functioning. And when we look at conventional labs and those tests, and they're talking about everything's normal, that's because on those tests, they're either diagnosing you with a disease or you don't have a disease, right? It's very black and white. You have a problem or you don't. It's not thought of with conventional care. Not thought of with preventional care. It's thought of, do you have a disease? Do you not have a disease? And normal, just being in this huge range of normal, doesn't mean that things are great, because normal today, the comparison for most of America, is not healthy, right? Most people are not healthy. So we want to be optimal. We want to make sure your health and fertility are optimal and working the best that they can. And so that's one difference when we can use functional labs, is we can look at and see, give you some answers into your body where things are not functioning great, either real big issues we can find, or patterns and issues that are going unseen, that aren't being looked into, that aren't noticed in conventional care, because you don't have a disease to be diagnosed with. So we can get a lot more in depth, a lot more detailed in seeing what could be affecting your fertility and how we need to help it. And so that's because your body is entirely connected, right? You can't just look at one thing. We can't just look at your fertility and say, oh, you have a low egg count. Oh, your hormones, these are your hormones. That's such a surface level look at your health and your fertility. So surface level. Why are your eggs being affected? Why are your hormones being affected? Let's go in a little bit deeper and really see what else is happening in your body that's affecting all of these things. We don't want to look at fertility in a vacuum, right? We want to look at you. We want to look at you. What's happening with you personally? So ways to look a little bit deeper. Once again, this is just a very quick second to show you. But hormone testing, not basic blood work like at the doctor, which can be helpful, start place, sure. But looking deeper into like your metabolites, your stress response, more deeper hormone testing can be really valuable. Looking at things like your mineral balance and heavy metals, which are really important for proper function, hormone production. Ladies I see that have issues with fibroids, things like that, thyroid issues, that can be especially helpful. Organic acids is another one that gives us a huge look into your health and where you might be having fertility issues, which is a great one for men as well. And thyroid testing, so really comprehensive look into your thyroid, because thyroid issues are a very common influencer in fertility issues. So women that have unexplained infertility, I find a lot of thyroid issues. It's not unexplained, right? It's just the reasons aren't found yet. So let's look for them. So a personalized and deeper approach when we're working with preconception care, preconception nutrition, that's when we can increase your chances of success and really support your body for now while you're trying to get pregnant, while we're increasing egg quality, for the future when you are pregnant, so you have a healthy pregnancy, and for your baby's future, so that you go through pregnancy feeling good and you don't have a hard, difficult postpartum or struggle with secondary infertility or issues like that, right? So, those are really three secrets that we wanted to keep into account, right? The doctor doesn't know about your diet. If you haven't gotten answers, if you're told you're fine, if you're told you're healthy, that's why they don't know about it. They aren't supposed to. They aren't learning about it, right? We need to personalize your diet and your nutrition for what is right for you. And we can always go deeper. We can look deeper into what is affecting your health, what is affecting your fertility. How can we use this natural approach even further to give you answers and really optimize your health to get pregnant? So once again, it's important both for women who have been struggling with their fertility, but I believe critically important for every woman, even if you don't think you're going to struggle, but for you to prepare for pregnancy, because it is important for your baby's health and your baby's future and your baby's growth. And we obviously want the best for our babies. And it's good to get started before you start trying, because let's even if you don't think you'll have issues, let's try to make sure you don't, right? And do what we can to prevent anything. So that's really a little bit about fertility responsive nutrition, how you can use it. If you have questions, please let me know in these comments here. But I have programs, I have resources available for all of you, lots of different things. So if you have any questions at all, or would like more information, or to discuss your specific situation, let me know. I love to talk to each and every one of you. So comment below or shoot me a DM, shoot me a message, and I will get back to you, or my community specialist who's been through this journey as well will chat with you too, and we'll talk, because I think this is a critical part of hopefully why you are here and changes you're wanting to make. So if you have any questions on nutrition, how to use fertility responsive nutrition, then just share with me now. So I hope you ladies have a wonderful evening, and I will talk with you all very soon. All right, bye.